you see dark energy, is it going to be attracted to you? No, because you know how to be light. You know how to send it into the light. You know how to understand and work with that energy versus it tormenting you, right? So we want to own our gifts. We want to understand how to use our gifts. Welcome to the Story of Spirit podcast, where practical spirituality meets real life. Hi, I'm your host, Sheetal Story. I'm a psychic medium, grief support counselor, professional astrologer, and a human design reader, and of course, a law of attraction master coach. With my unique blend of spiritual and practical tools, I am here to help you align with your soul-led purpose and ignite a life that sets your soul on fire. In this podcast, we are going to explore the principles of energy, astrology, spirituality, and psychology to help you heal your grief and create an aligned life and business from the inside out. Whether you are looking to deepen your intuition, understand your cosmic design, or transform your business, this podcast is for you. Join me each week for insightful discussions, practical tips, and inspiring stories that will guide you on your journey to living your very best life. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on Instagram at Sheetal Story or wherever you listen to this podcast. Let's dive in and start this transformative journey together. Welcome to the Story of Spirit podcast. The number one thing I hear from budding mediums, intuitives with a gift, is I am scared to develop my gift. I'm scared. It always blows my mind because if you knew how empowered you could be on the other side of it, why wouldn't you? Right? It is given to you by your own soul. Like, this is a God-given gift. And yet there's so many people in this world that are so scared of it. Imagine being scared of your own gifts, right? I mean, that's how powerful they are. I think it's a Marianne Williamson quote, is our biggest fear is that we are more powerful than we could imagine. Something like that. And this gift that you're given is soul led, right? So before you come into incarnation, your soul is in Bardo, and so it's sort of the in between world, and your soul is going, okay, I need this characteristic and trait. I want to experience these life lessons, so I'm going to have to be bold. I'm going to have to be somebody who speaks her mind even when it doesn't make sense. I'm going to have to be tenacious. I'm also going to have to be somebody who really wants their parents to love them. And so I'm going to be born into this household, because what happens is, I mean, we all want our parents to love us. So that's not like bright or brilliant or different to anyone, in the world. But if you are very sweet and sensitive, I mean, that's subjective as well. But if you're a sensitive soul, you're going to be very aware of your parents' needs and the way that they feel. So even the trials and tribulations they had when they were when they were having you, whether you're the first child or the 50th child, you are going to have different parents and your siblings. And the environment when you are young affects you as a soul, as a child. So you don't have a choice when you're young. So if you're born into really hard circumstances, where there's a lot of trauma, or you're moving around a lot, or you're a brown kid in Canada just trying to fit in, which is me, then you will create traits and characteristics, right? You will learn, the brain will adapt. And these traits and characteristics that you have or learn at a young age, even from learning them from your parents, learning them from your earliest caregivers, they are part of your soul's evolution. You're meant to have those. So if you become a people pleaser because you realize that the more I acquiesce to the people around me, the more I'm loved, the more I achieve, the more I receive, then those traits and characteristics are going to be needed for your journey forward in the world, the adult human that you're going to become. So that adult human then can learn, like, as a recovering people pleaser, I'm super nice, right? I'm very considerate. I really look at what does everyone need if I'm hosting a dinner, or I'm, wanting to make sure that people know each other. You're not just coming, you don't know anyone. And it's not always for me to be responsible for. right? It's not always me. Like, I remember this time I was driving, and this is how considerate I was, that when I'm merging into traffic or traffic is merging in with me, I will give them space, right? Anyone wants to come into my lane and give them space. Anyone crossing the road, I'll give them space. I'm super considerate. And what happened was this guy was merging in, I was giving him space, and he wasn't comfortable. I ended up slamming on my brakes because the guy was not, like, still not making his move into traffic. And then the guy behind me slammed on his brakes and gave and honked to me. And I'm like, I'm just trying to be considerate. And I ended up pulling into the left lane that was clear and went around the person who had a hard time merging into traffic. And in that moment, I had a huge epiphany that I was managing expectations and experiences of everyone else to my detriment. I got honked and I almost caused an accident because I was trying to be kind, but really I was managing someone else's situation. Had I seen that now, I would have actually just pulled out. Or I would just continued on my speed and let them figure it out because they will, right? That's out of that rescuer tendency, which people pleasers tend to have, right? Is the way to get out of that is to become the empowered coach. I believe in you. You can do this. I believe in your ability to take care of yourself because you can do it. And if you're doing that with your kids, you're rescuing them or you're doing for them all the time, you are missing the opportunity to empower them, to believe in them. Because even if they make a mistake, guess what? You learn massively from mistakes, right? And there's no such thing as a mistake. It's all learning, right? So there's no, that considerate part of me. This was part of my life lessons. I had to learn that and be that. And one of the things that I gave myself in this lifetime was the ability to be a medium, right? And I talked about that on previous episodes. I also gave myself the ability to be highly intuitive. But one of the things to note is that you have a propensity to be intuitive, but what really turns on intuition, and I've noticed this in every intuitive human that comes through my classes, because I do teach Intuition 101, is that they had a childhood trauma that made it so that they had to be so sensitive and aware of what was happening in their house, right? You had to be aware of what was happening around them so they could be safe, right? And whether that came from volatility or alcoholism or bullying, whatever that is for you, it was there, right? It's part of your life's experience, and it created intuition for you. And that intuition then creates a very intuitive person who has the ability to feel what everyone's feeling and manage situations before anyone actually has to say anything. And it also can make you misunderstand that when someone is having an experience of you, that means that you're a bad person, that you failed, that you're not doing good. They're allowed to be disappointed with you, or they're allowed to be disappointed with themselves, right? If you say no to an invitation and they're disappointed, as an empath, I would take that personally and I would change my answer to a yes because I don't want to make anyone feel bad. I literally just had a session this afternoon, a grief client, where she's like, I hate making people feel yucky. And I said, what if you didn't make anyone feel anything? That everyone is responsible for the way they feel. But her programming was such that she's responsible for everybody. But you're not. You're not responsible for anybody. You're only responsible for you. If you died today, I guarantee you, everybody would be sad. Yes, because you're a fantastic person. But they would make it through. They would muddle through. I have clients where their mothers died when they were young. Did it cause trauma for them? Yes. And they figured it out. They became really independent. They took over the role of their parent. They raised their siblings. It made them entrepreneurial because they know how to manage things and get things done. They are self-motivated. It also made them hyper independent and having a hard time trusting people. And so you have to heal that part because people are worthy of your trust until they show you that they're not, right? But if you grow up feeling everybody's not trustworthy, well, that starts to come into avoidant attachment, meaning you avoid connection because you don't feel people are safe, right? So I love how the world of spirituality and psychology kind of overlap, intertwine, validate each other. And these soul qualities that we have are there by divine design. So I was recently at a conference with entrepreneurs, not recently, a few months ago. And my friends at this conference, some of them are probably listening, they go out as we're talking to people and meeting everybody. We're all kind of extroverts in this situation. And they come back with various people. You need to meet Sheetal. I always love that because it's like, ooh, it's like a puzzle, right? Like, how can I solve this puzzle? They never tell me why. They're just like, you need to meet Sheetal. And then they'll drop them off and then they fly. And I was like, hi, how are you? Tell me about yourself, right? Such is life when you're a psychic, I suppose. So I was like, well, tell me about you. Like, what is it that you do? Because it's an entrepreneurs conference, anyways, right? So, like, oh, okay, I'm at this coach or I'm at this thing or I teach in this and stuff. I'm like, oh, that's so interesting. And I said, I'll always know what question to ask. That's part of my gifts too, right? I can tell your soul's greatest need in that moment. And every single person they brought to me was like, I was like the godmother of psychic. I don't know. As people are like, I have this gift, I think I see dead people. I had this weird experience in a house that has happened to me like my entire psychic life. Like as soon as I came out of the psychic closet, that was when I started to get people that come to me and say like, I had this thing. Can you tell me what this is? Which is fantastic because it is exactly, I know what it is. I always have answers. I'm a sponge. I've worked with a lot of people. I picked up a lot of things. I read a lot of things. So I always can help you. And there was a few things that were quite hard. But one person in particular that inspired this show, super wonderful human. She is so lovely. Everyone who knows her likes to be in her energy. She's quite quiet. She's a coach in her own right, but she's trying to find her path. She's tried a few different things, but not kind of working out. She's sort of chosen her niche that she wants to kind of go deeper into, but not really sure. It's not really aligning financially. Like she's not drawing in the people, which to me means that there's a misalignment, right? There's something magnetically not quite right. She's not serving her ideal audience in terms of her soul's desire, right? So I started to ask her about herself, and she comes out with that, she's seen dead people her entire, especially as a child, but she was so scared of it that she has put it away and she's really doesn't want to open it. It feels like it's a Pandora's box, and if she opens it, she doesn't know what's going to come out of it. So I said, okay, so you feel like you don't have control of your gift. And if you do open it, then you feel that the gift will control you. And she said, yes. And I said, so do you feel like your gift is controlling you now with fear? And she's like, yes, because it is, right? It's knowledge is power. So if you know how to use your gift, then it will not control you. You control your gift. That is the way of it. So even in understanding that I live in the world of energy, we all live in the world of energy. This is an energetic world that we live in. And we're physical beings living this human experience, and we're energetic beings. Like that there's an energy that is animating your body, that animates your heart, synapse of your brain waves. It emanates from you. You have an energetic field around you, right? That is science. I am not being wooey at all. That is actually science. And then energy source, something that has energy, is magnetic. So you literally are a magnet for what you are thinking about, what is in your energetic field. You are bringing that into you, right? That's the law of attraction. So that's actually science, right? Overlapping with spirituality. So when we think about that, we live in a world of energy, but our five physical senses, our eyes, ears, nose, mouth, our touch can only perceive a very small spectrum of the entire energy spectrum, right? When you think about that. So the very small inner workings of the energy spectrum, which is the light spectrum, that is the only thing we can see and discern. Like even dogs can hear sounds that are much higher than what we can hear, right? We can't see microwaves, we can't see gamma rays, right? There's a whole other part of the energetic field that we can't see. And so when you think about what lives in that part of the field, we don't know. But if you are energetically tuned, then you know a little bit, a little bit. Like we're not going to know all the things, but there is another dimension that lives here. the energetic dimension. And that's the world of spirit. So when we are energetically tuned to each other, to what is coming in the world, to the energy of things and plants, we can feel more than what we are just is in our mind, right? And the tool for that is through your body. So when you're living in your body, you feel things deeper than when you're just in your mind. But of course, where do we like to hang out? In the mind. So as an intuitive, your brain is going to make this feel unsafe. Now, add to that movies, Hollywood, religion, family. This beautiful soul told me that her parents used to say to her that this is an evil. This is not God's gift. But then I said to her, if it comes from your soul and you're meant to experience it, why then would you have it? Doesn't God give you your body? Isn't your soul part of God's energy? You are consciousness. You are God's energy experiencing the world, right? Your consciousness experiencing consciousness. And it's like so meta. So why would this is a God-given gift? Do you think it's a gift from the devil? Why would the devil give you a gift? Not to say that the devil exists, because it doesn't. There's all constructs to create power, right? God is consciousness, and it's neutral. It's not a force that's trying to help you do anything. It's actually just trying to help you be more of yourself, right? It is loving. We come from a loving place. There is negativity, there is dark energy, but that is also a construct of our own mind, right? If you keep your vibration high, I always say shadow cannot be where the light is, right? It's in the light. You're in the light, right? Shadows cast off light, lit structures, but you are so light. Darkness cannot be where the light is. So be light, right? Why? What are you scared of? She's like, well, I'm scared of seeing things. It's like, what are you scared that you're going to see? Dark energy. Okay. So you see dark energy. Was it going to be attracted to you? No, because you know how to be light. You know how to send it into the light. You know how to understand and work with that energy versus it tormenting you, right? So we want to own our gifts. We want to understand how to use our gifts. And one of the first things I teach in Intuition 101 is the white light, right? The white light comes from spirit. You want to bring it down, envision a beam of golden white light coming down from the universe onto the top of your head and illuminating all the parts of you and then coming through your hands, and you can send the white light anywhere. Think of like a Care Bear stare, right? You can use the white light. So if there's something that feels dark in that corner, send white light into that corner and illuminate it, and send white light there so that nothing of the dark can be there. You have energy, you have power. When you work in the light and energy and physicality, you are the most powerful being on this planet. You can tell energy to move. You can move energy, right? You can reset your own energy. Like there's so many things that we can do in this world that would empower you as an empath or an intuitive. And as we're waking up to our gifts, which is what's happening as we're moving to this part of space, more people are stepping into their gifts. More people are elevating in consciousness. And if you're turning on, your gift is turning on, it's a time now to dive into it. But what happens a lot of times is people are like scared of it. They're scared of what their life will be. They're scared of what people will perceive of them. They're scared of what they might open up. It's all just bullshit, right? Like it really just is. If this is a God-given gift and it's opening up, then it's meant that you are meant to do God's work with it. So when you are turning your back on your gifts, you're turning your back on God, you're turning your back on your spirit, and you are not really living your purpose and mission. So it was very interesting. At the end of 2024, I met 6 people, all on various paths and all scared to open to their gifts, even though their gifts were present, even though they were having dreams, even though they were like literally having dreams about things that were going to happen. So premonition dreams, which doesn't happen to everybody, right? If it's happening to you, then it means that you have the gift of premonition. And if you have the gift of premonition, then it means that you're meant to help people with it. And if you see it, you can change it, or you can help people become forewarned around it so that they can shore up to it. So if you see someone's death, then that is it. You can't change that, right? And I mean, you can try, but death comes for us all. Your time is your time. You can try to delay it, but death will continue to come for you, right? You're and it's death is just a transition into energetic form. You're not dead. You're transitioning. So why are we scared of transitioning, right? Because it's the unknown. When you live in spiritual and energetics, you understand that your essence will continue on. This is just one body, one life. And yes, this body and life matters, right? Taking care of this body matters. Doing the best in this world matters. You are given a gift, characteristics, traits that are unique only to this life. Are you using them? Are you taking full advantage of this meat suit that is your body? Or are you waiting for something? I don't know what, more money, someone to give you permission, the spark to turn on, like, or are you actually going for it? Right? Are you going for it? Are you trying the thing? Are you putting yourself out there? So what if somebody doesn't like it? So what? As long as you're doing it with integrity, with training, you're not harming people. And in our profession, we say do no harm. And I always like to leave people better than I found them. Right? So if you're doing that, go take classes, develop yourself, try and see what happens, right? When we do intuition development, we're actually healing from the inside out. And I'm training you to sit in the seat of the soul and learn about yourself from a soul's perspective versus from the mind. Because nothing good comes from the mind, right? Even in human design, they say any decisions made from the mind are not actually made with your authority. Your authority comes from your body. And depending on your design, you'll have different authorities. So, knowing that, even when I taught a human design class recently to entrepreneurs, when they learned about their authority and they started to work with it, life changing, right? One of the authorities in human design is talk it out. And we are often told by coaches, by people, don't listen to anyone else, do what's in your heart, you don't have to talk it out with anybody. You're giving your power away. And you are giving your power away if you're talking to somebody who has a vested interest in your outcome versus someone who is a neutral party. Like as a coach, I'm a neutral party. Of course, I want to see you win and I want to see you be happy, but I'm not connected to your outcome being this way or that. If it's the lesson you need to learn, fine. If it's the success and the lots of money coming in, that's fantastic too, right? I mean, ultimately, we all want the money and we all want to help people and the impact. But it is not up to me to choose for that person. So knowing that that person had a talk it out strategy, then when she's talking out her problems, I can be like, yeah, that's really interesting. Have you thought about this possibility? And what about this potentiality? Which one feels better in your heart? And she's like, oh my God, I love that. Right. So where I'm coaching people according to their human design. So again, if you feel like talking it out feels good for you, do that. Right. We're not giving our power away when we do that, but we're talking to a neutral third party. So our intuition can come in that way because you're hearing those words back, or even you talking it out. Your words are resonating, and there's energy in that you can feel only when you speak it out into the world. So the way that you feel your intuition is not the same as who you see on TV. You're going to feel your intuition in different ways, and that is okay. I think sometimes we're looking to TV to have these kind of like looking for someone who looks like us or sounds like us, or we're having that same experience. Like I remember thinking when my gift was, you're going to laugh at this because it's crazy pants, but everyone I knew who had a gift, it was born out of trauma, right? So whether that is like their son died, or they had a scary experience as a kid with dead people, or the Sixth Sense, anyone seen that, right? Like there's everyone had a story of like how they came into their gifts. Mine was my baby was born. And I had my gifts growing up as a kid, and I was never scared of them, right? If anything, like I just knew it was there, and it didn't bother me. Of course, I also have a mom who's a spiritual healer and had a very strong protection energy. So I didn't think anything of it. And then when my youngest was born, and then my gifts came back, and I was like, oh, okay. And everything in me was that I need to develop this. I was actually looking for someone to tell me I was crazy. I like, I need to go see a psychologist. Everybody I kept seeing, they're like, this is your gift. This is like literally, this is what you're supposed to be doing. And I was like, okay, but really, it was interesting because I was in that situation of like, just tell me really. Right. So here I am in this situation now as the guide on the other side. And all these people are coming in with their gifts. And I'm like, you have a gift. You need to develop it. And they're like, but do I? But what if? I was like, well, what if? You have the ability to protect yourself, to protect your family. And if like there's anything scary about that, let's talk about it, right? Because I can dispel all of that. You are so powerful when you are in your gifts. So if you're an intuitive or you have soul gifts that are coming to the surface in some way, like you want to play an instrument or you want to take a pickleball, and you become really amazing at it. Like I used to think as a kid, I might be a concert violinist, but I don't know it because I've never picked up a violin, right? Like, how do I know what my gift is? And the answer to that now, as I know that in the person that I am today, is that your soul will call you to it. Your soul will call you to it in a way that makes zero sense to anyone else. Or I'm going to pick up painting at 45. What? Why are you picking up painting now? And sure, you know what? Painting is fun. And then you become this amazing painter. And you're like, what? Right? I'm not sure if I told this story on the podcast. I had a client very early days when I started reading out of my house, a tarot client. I still remember her. She was so fantastic. She sat in my chair. She was an older lady, and about her, she was 65 because she had just retired. And so I pulled some cards and I said, I kept hearing like, all around the mulberry bush, the monkey chased the weasel. We used to sing that to the kids all the time. And she's like, I said, I feel like I keep hearing that song. Pop goes the weasel. I said, did you teach elementary school kids? And she's like, yes. I said, young, like I feel like kindergarten. She's like, yes, I was a kindergarten teacher for 35 years. I was like, wow, that's amazing. And I said, I feel like it was so fulfilling. Like I feel like you're singing and dancing with the kids, you help them to be kids, but then you also help them with teaching and training and all that kind of stuff. But you're a kid at heart. And she's like, yes, yes. If you wouldn't know it by seeing this woman sitting in this chair, like she was very straight faced and her hands are clasped. And I said, but I feel like life is moving you in a different direction. And by the sounds of it, when you said was, I inferred that you're retired now. She said yes. And I said, in this retirement now, life is handing you a beautiful present. But I feel like spirit is saying you're hesitant to take it. And she's like, perhaps. And I kept seeing these like really childish drawings, but they're very cute, like very cute little drawings of like kids and like flowers and grass. And it's just, but they're beautiful. And it felt like with like watercolors, right? So I said, you're painting, is that right? And she said, I am. And I said, but I feel like the pictures you paint are very childlike. They're very colorful. And they're very simple but cute. And she's like, that's actually the way that they've been described. And I said, and you feel like you're doodling them, but I think they bring a lot of joy to the people who see them. Like, I actually feel like they could be professional works. And she's like, oh, I mean, professional. I said, I feel like someone has offered to buy some of your paintings. And she's like, yeah, I normally just gift them to friends and stuff. But, I have had a few people say they'd buy it from me. I said, okay, so that was your first nudge from the universe that people want to pay you for your gift and you're not letting them. So what's the holdback? She's like, well, I'm 65. What? I'm going to be a painter at 65? I'm like, you already are. Like, what's the resistance to accepting that this is you? And she said, I don't know. Because I said, what I'm seeing is actually your works on a gallery, like in a gallery, like art show, and you are the feature artist. And then I feel like people from around the world are buying your art. And then I feel like it's hanging in very special places where it's being purchased and commissioned. I feel like you're going to be commissioned to make like collections of these artworks. And she's like, huh, okay. Well, okay. And I said, I mean, that's it. I mean, it came to a close at that. And we said a few other things. And I said, so your mission then, should you choose to accept it, is to go forth and be art. Play with your art, have fun, do it, be inspired. And when people start asking you, hey, can we show it here? Or can I, I have an opportunity to show your art in an art gallery, or hey, why don't you come with me to an art gallery? And they're like, oh, we're looking for artists. And you're like, I'm an artist, right? The very first step is to accept the title of artist. And she's like, okay, I can do that. And I said, that's great, right? Because that is everything else is gonna depend. All the dominoes will fall if you accept that you are an artist. Right? So she came back to see me a couple years later, and she brought me a little work of art. I still have it. It's my very first gift that I ever got from a client. I received many, so I'm really, really honored. And she gave it to me in a little picture frame. And she's like, I want to give this to you as a thank you. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so grateful. Like, thank you. This is exactly what I saw. And she said, after my reading with you, I did that. I called myself an artist. I started to play with my art. I started to be in the places that I loved art. I got commissioned to do, we did an art show at a gallery. And through various channels, my work started to get out into the world. I have works of art around the world now. And then the Stollery Hospital commissioned her to do a wing of the hospital with her paintings. So big, right? Like huge, that because she followed her gift, no matter how old you are, it led her to where she needed to be. And now her art inspires kids that are healing and sick and families that are worried about their littles. Like, this is what your gift can do. This is one example. She had a whole lifetime of being a kindergarten teacher who she loved. It was so fulfilling. She retired, and her soul said, there's more. There's more. So I feel like that's for someone listening today. If your soul is calling you for more, I want you to explore it. Right. I run a group called Discover Your Soul Led Passion and Purpose. And if you're interested, message me or look for, those links. They're out there. If it's not running at this time, it might run in the future. But if I'm not your person, that's okay. Go where you are being called. Cultivate your gifts. Don't be scared of them, because they're literally the doorway to the next stage of your evolution. And if you decide you don't want to open to your gifts because you're too scared of them, guess what? You'll be given them in your next life, because reincarnation is real. There's actually so much evidence that it's real, and you'll get another chance to try it again. Why not do it in this lifetime? The other thing that I want to leave you with is that when you open to your gifts, you make the littles in your life. So whether it's your own children, your nieces and nephews, or people that are inspired by you that are children of the younger generation, you are paving the way for them to step into their gifts faster. You are paving the way for them to accept all parts of themselves. And you are healing yourself through incorporating your purpose and mission in your day, because that is why you came here. And that is how we heal this world. Everyone living in their purpose. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. I'm wishing you purpose, safety, and diving into all the parts of you that hold magic, because you are magic. I know it. I feel it in my bones. And now it's for you to know in your bones. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Story of Spirit podcast. I hope you have found inspiration, support, and practical insights to help you align with your soul-led purpose and live a life that sets your soul on fire. If you have enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, and share it with a friend. Your support helps us to reach more listeners and continues to provide valuable content. I sincerely appreciate every share, and I know it is how most people find me. It is because caring people like you have shared me with them at the right and perfect time. For more resources, insights, and to connect with our community, please visit us at www.sheetalstory.com and follow us on Instagram at sheetalstory. Remember, your journey to a more aligned and vibrant life is just the beginning, and I am here to support you every step of the way. Until next time, stay aligned, stay inspired, and keep shining your beautiful light. This is Sheetal Story, signing off from the Story of Spirit podcast. Here's the legal ease it's required by our lawyers. This podcast and the YouTube channel represents the opinions of Sheetal Story and her guests to the show. The content should not be taken as medical, psychological, or financial advice. This series is informational and entertainment purposes only. Because each person is so unique, please consult your healthcare professional, your mental health dream team, your financial advisor, or anyone else that's an expert in the field in where you are thinking of making big choices in your life.